Hey, good morning, Choice Residential. Hope your day's off to a wonderful start. Today, I want to give you a script and talk about how to speak to prospective sellers about international exposure on their listings when you're at a listing appointment. This came up not too long ago on one of our weekend wrap up calls where someone said that they were thrown off by a question that the seller had about international exposure and how they had met with an agent at a different firm that had offices around the world and they thought that international exposure would benefit them. So I want to speak to how to address that, either proactively, go ahead and make this part of your listing presentation, or in response to a question you might get from a seller, or if you know that you're up against a brokerage that may have international offices, maybe a worldwide company. A way that you can go ahead and get out in front of that and address it. So here's the nuts and bolts of the script. And of course, you want to listen to this several times, internalize it, put it in your voice, in your words. But this is kind of the heart of what we're getting at here. So here's what you would say to the seller as it pertains to international exposure. And you could even, again, you could have this as a section in a listing presentation if you have a physical listing presentation, and then speak to this. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm going to expose your home locally, nationally, and internationally. But what's actually most important is the local exposure and the local relationships that I have. Every agent is going to have international exposure for their listings because the infrastructure for listing syndication is set up in such a way that when we list your home, it's going to be distributed all over the world. Most agents are going to have access to that type of distribution. So we're going to put it in front of people all over the world. However, even if the buyer for your home is coming from England or Canada or India, the reality is that they will be working with a local agent. Therefore, I focus the majority of my marketing efforts for your home on finding high intent buyers and the agents who work with those high intent buyers here locally. So you are removing the idea that your brokerage just happening to have an office somewhere else in the world has any impact on selling a house here locally. You want to reinforce the point that your relationships locally with other agents and your ability to prospect for buyers here locally is what's going to be most important, because even if the buyer originates from another country, they're going to be working with someone here locally to actually view and purchase the house. So again, focus on the local relationships, the local marketing that you do to the agents who are here. And that's a great way to drive attention away from the concept that an international office has anything to do with selling a home locally here in Raleigh, North Carolina, or whenever your local market is. If you have questions, thoughts, or other scripts that might be helpful as you speak to international real estate marketing exposure, put it in the comments below. We'd love to hear what your views are on the subject. Otherwise, until next time, take care.